what he owes, a creditor can arrange to have property liquidated and sold for payment. Such goods may end up at auction.
All right, guys, drop this down and put it into the loading bay, and then we'll load it up before we...
Andrew Hamilton runs Auction Exchange in Sandyford, Dublin. Today he's receiving stock ahead of a monthly public auction.
In the current marketplace, we're facilitating the transition of goods from companies that have ceased operation into companies that are now getting off the ground and expanding.
An IT company unfortunately got into liquidation. You know, obviously all their assets, sell them off, you know, on their behalf so they can pay back the liquidators and or creditors, I should say. So.
But essentially we're selling the asset and not the company, and it's generally the company, unfortunately, through whatever circumstances have failed, and the assets come here to be sold. These entries were from a major receivership in the construction arena, and I believe this is kind of rescue equipment for scaffolding and all the guys that would have been on the scaffolding. I think here we even have a stretcher unit. Memorabilia from liquidation of a pub. A full DJ solution. I believe the owner of this is intending on leaving the country. Cosmetic fridge, apparently for keeping your makeup cold. Catering. Under-counter sinks, ice machines, tele display units. Do you know what that is?
Big executive desk.
Full office executive managers. So it looks like very good stuff. It's all brand new.
A lot of people do have the misconception that, you know, auctioneers, they're profiteering off, you know, other people's miseries, which is completely not the case. You know, I mean, the stuff that we're getting in today and all the other stuff that we've got throughout here, you know, we've got a lot of companies that are setting up.
Can you get that in, yeah?
You know, we're facilitating the growth of the Irish economy, you know, getting it back into action, hopefully. Get this other bit in.
Yeah, get them in, because obviously there's a few more deliveries due.
A local oil merchant has arrived at Grange Patio and Paving in Trim. Joe Patterson owes him money.
This is Joe Keating from Keating Oil, one of the people we owe some money to, and we've been paying it off, and Joe has been more than patient. And I think I might have him now in a nice little position here where I might get a few more euros off the bill. That's where the chicken lives, safe from the fox, Joe. That's your tray for your chicken, for your egg. I was trying to get 200 euros for this, and I think we might have settled for 150.
I hope there's none of them what's going on.
Pyrite. There's no pyrite in it. Business people don't have any money, so they might have something that Joe wants, or Joe might have something that I want, and we hammer out some kind of a deal on it, you know.
I try to bargain with people, like, you know, well, sure, give me something. Like, if you go to a door and someone owes you £300 or 300 euros, and you get 100, they only owe you 200.
Yeah.
You know. But I find some people they won't even answer the door to you, they won't even talk to you.
One controversial aspect of the planned insolvency bill is mortgage relief. Within a personal insolvency arrangement, debtors could potentially have their home loans written down, but only if the lender agrees.
We're looking at our own house mortgages. I mean, we borrowed on our houses to invest in this, and it's now all come to a standstill. So we're now at a stage in our house mortgages where we can't afford to pay them. Like, if we went into liquidation in the morning in Trim alone, you'd have 3 or 4 businesses that you do business with every day. It's still a figure to them that they're owed. It's them that gets hurt.
The mortgage on the house is worth 6 months behind. You'd be talking about probably 10 grand in arrears, you know. Regarding the insolvency thing, down the line, when it is ironed out and it comes in properly and we know exactly what they're talking about, then people may look at it. Now, we'll say, if we were to come along in the morning and say to people that we owe money to, will you settle for 50%? I am sure that they would be delighted to settle for 50%. People are starting to get realistic, and they're coming along and saying, well, look, we know you haven't got the money, we know you're doing the best you can give me 100 euros a week off a 5,000 debt, or you can give me 2,000 and I'll write it off now.
The idea of writing down millions of euros in unpayable mortgage loans is causing concern amongst lenders.
The banks are very aware of the long-term relationship that they have with their customers, so I think there really is an appreciation of the varying range of difficult circumstances that people find themselves in. Whilst we support the thrust of the proposals, there are some areas where we'd have reservations. Putting secured credit into an insolvency regime is more or less an untested and untried thing across developed economies. So it could potentially have quite significant impacts on banking and on the economy and society generally.
Jill Gotzel is grappling with €1 million mortgage debt. She now runs a downsized PR business from Wicklow.
This is my office here in Shalala. I moved in about 5 years ago, and it's just a little one-bedroom apartment which we converted. So I have got new clients in. I'm paying the bills now, I'm paying the utilities. But having said that, I still haven't got to a point where I can pay myself. And that's very tough because my savings are very much depleted.
In 2011, Jill tried to sell Rahengraney House on the internet. She slashed the price to €500,000, half of what she owed.
Within a week, we actually got an offer. And then I went to the banks and I said, right, I have this offer and it's a cash offer. I presented it to them and then they came back and they said, no. And it was just a simple letter. Sorry, we cannot accept the offer of $500,000 because it's not the same as the mortgage. So they stopped the sale altogether. I could not believe it. I was just floored. And I thought, why can't they accept this? This makes no sense to me because stick a judgment on me, come after me, whatever, take the offer. If do you want to get out of this mess, do you want to sort out some of your property portfolio in Ireland? So it made no sense to me. I mean, I will never be able to repay that $1 million on the mortgage. It'll never happen. Even when they bring in the slightly modified insolvency laws and slightly modified bankruptcy laws, people will still go to the UK because it's a fairer jurisdiction. Definitely an option to go over to the UK and within a year be cleansed. I know I can start again, I know I can do stuff, but not if I'm being pulled down by this leaden weight. There is a huge stigma about bankruptcy still. As a society, we should be looking at those people and helping them out and not looking to whip them because they made a mistake or they failed.
Tommy Keane regularly drives into Neenah in search of work. At the peak of the boom, his plastering firm ran a number of work vehicles. The cars were repossessed when the business failed.
I had a Jeep and the vans, and I had a few other tools there that I had that were fairly expensive that debt collection agencies came out, just took them from my home, yeah. I was actually embarrassed about them coming to the house, so I actually told them they wouldn't mind that I'd leave the goods over in the local garage. And after a few weeks, after giving the Jeep back that I had, I was starting getting letters in the door that I owed another 11,000 on the Jeep.
Tommy now searches for work in a bartered car.
I'd no work, no nothing, and stuff repossessed. Just a friend of mine asked me to plaster his house. So I said, yeah, there'd be no problem, I'd plaster it. And I seen his car in his driveway and I was asking him, was he selling the car? So he said if I plastered his house, he'd give me the car. This is my third year now of work, it's not really much going on at the moment, just staying home, just tipping away in bits and pieces. I was just wondering, is there anything going?
Well, where would you be looking for a job?
Neenah, Limerick, Portumna area, even Cork if I had to be Cork, just wondering is there anything going to construction.
Well, what we can do, we can check the system there and see if there's anything suitable for you, all right?
I'd love to be out working, have the good things that we used to have. I'm not saying now the flashy Jeeps or the holidays or everything, but just a normal day-to-day life without having to wonder where is the next few pounds going to come out of. There's a lot more bad days now because you're hanging around more, and we have gone through this much now, myself and the wife. You're sort of bickering at each other, and it's stressful on your relationship as well. And she wants to go out, you want to go out, we're hanging around the house too much. There's a lot of people probably is going out in and out of the court there at the minute, and I think that there is judges there coming to see that a lot of people just don't have the money, they can only afford a certain amount. If I have to go down that line, I have to go down that line, and just wouldn't be too nice. It's a nail-biting thing having to go to court.
10% of Irish homes are currently 3 months in mortgage arrears. 3,000 are battling home repossession. Joe and Josephine Patterson fear becoming a statistic.
In the boom time, you know, I was working and things were fine, but like, I've lost my job and I'm trying basically to keep sane. And the only way I'm trying to keep sane is to go out and listen to the birds and the bees. I see nobody all day. Joe's gone here from 8 o'clock in the morning until God knows what time at night. And I mean, it's playing its toll on our relationship as well, because I mean, I don't see him. He can't sleep. He's not eating properly. He's constantly worrying. God be with the days when we used to have a steak dinner. It's mince now all the time. Joe, put the kettle on.
Yeah. Josephine worked with us in the company. She loved that. But the change that came about, what turned out to be the death of the Celtic Tiger. We worked on a couple of jobs where we lost money, but we couldn't continue at that, so then Josephine had to go, you know.
I'm worried that the house will be taken off us because Joe has remortgaged the house, everything to put it into the business. You just get so bitter and it's so soul destroying that if you thought about it too much, it is suicidal. I mean, you hear people out there committing suicide and you'd be thinking, but why? I can understand, because I had to, like when they let me go, I actually suffered from stress and anxiety. And when I went to the doctor, and I never ever in all my life had that, and when I went to the doctor, he said, it's stress. He said, if you just don't calm down, try and unload all those worries, he says, you're going to be in a state of depression.
Due to turnover, we can't pay the mortgage. Like, we kept going in business in the hope that things turn around. And if we don't, I honestly don't know where it's going to end up.
Ireland is on the verge of offering debt forgiveness on an unprecedented scale. If the government's insolvency bill is enacted, banks may be forced to write off millions to free the country's credit flow. People in debt are considering their options. In Wicklow, Jill Godsill vacated her negative equity home for a nearby rented cottage. The family's rescue horses are kept at their landlady's stables. Even the pets are a worrying expense.
Well, the kids are fantastic. I mean, they know that money is extremely tight and it's from week to week where we're looking for our monies, and they do know that. For Christmas, I said I would bring them up to Penny's and we'd go shopping, get them some new stuff, whatever. I haven't managed to get them there yet, and I keep on saying, kids, I promise, no, Mum, we don't mind. She's 17 something, isn't she? Or
17-1.
Who's the boss between those two?
They're a bit of both.